First of all, I am Pervais Seyyed. I look after the global marketing effort for ihlal.com. ihlal.com is a website on which a Muslim can come and transact in Islamic financial products and services. As of now, ihlal has got online stock trading using Dow Jones Islamic filter, and it has a couple of mutual funds, one from Saudi American Bank, one from Orbitex, and one from NCB. They are all Islamically acceptable funds. I think ihlal is a very interesting proposition for two reasons. One, it takes Islamic banking to the next level of sophistication, which is internet banking. A lot of conventional banking that you see is still stuck in brick and mortar. Some of it has been elevated to internet and modern technology, but Islamic banking has been very lucky that it's not more than, let's say, about 30 years old, and already it's using the latest technology available. So that's why I think one aspect ihlal is very important, is it brings Islamic banking to this level. The second aspect is that it is the sponsors of ihlal are mainstream institutions. Our sponsors are basically two venture capital funds. One is Accenture Technology Ventures, which is formerly as Anderson Consulting. That's mainstream. And the other is Rasmallah. Rasmallah has a few Saudi individuals as investors, and Deutsche Bank and Samba Bank. So it's very good to know that the mainstream players are interested in this space and are willing to invest here and are willing to promote it. So I think these are the two unique aspects. Then the third aspect is the ihlal itself. The management team is a cutting edge professional team, and I think that's also very important. As far as my personal interest in Islamic banking goes, I have been working for various multinationals, but my role has been that in marketing. The job that I had before I joined the field of Islamic banking was that I was the managing director for Johnson & Johnson's business in Pakistan. I have come into Islamic banking, I came into Islamic banking purely on conviction. When I was heading Johnson & Johnson Pakistan, there was an Islamic investment bank that was formed in Pakistan, and I decided to give up my career and join Islamic banking, and I joined that bank. It was Al Mizan Islamic Investment Bank. I think I was the employee number 5. So I got to do some pioneering work there, and I got to learn about Islamic banking. I got to find out, and I launched a branded time deposit in Pakistan as well. And now I'm into Islamic banking because I believe it's a better system. It's efficient. It's not a question of Islam or Muslims. Everybody really needs this kind of banking because it is ethical and it is just. And only this type of banking can lay the foundation of a stable economy, no matter where it is. Any economy that is built on conventional banking is inherently unstable, and it has devastating repercussions on the micro as well as macro level. The only reason why it isn't very obvious on a day-to-day dealing basis is because we have dressed it up well. But at the end of the day, any system that is based on unjust principles will only cause problems, and that's the problem with interest-based banking. Islamic banking is all about ethical investment. Islamic banking is all about equity between the users and providers of the fund, and that is what provides a solid foundation for a stable economy. And that is why I'm in this business now, out of belief. And I believe one of the big things that can happen to this is that if professional people who have experience of conventional banking, who has experience of the world-class companies, would come into this field and promote it. I personally have worked for banking with Citibank. I have worked for companies like Johnson & Johnson, Lever Brother, Exxon, and I am very familiar with the systems and the cultures there. And I think that's the value I bring to Islamic banking. Let's say a modern outlook, new technologies. Also, I think in Islamic banking, one of the things we must realize is that it's not really a religious issue, because not just Islam, even Judaism and Christianity prohibit interest. So it's not really a question of religion. It's also not a legal issue because, many countries, 42 countries of the world have Islamic banking, and a lot of them don't have Islamic rules and regulations. What it is a change management. It's a new system. One needs to change this system that is so unjust with a new system that's much better. And the one important thing that we need to do is to market this system well, to market this system right, so that people understand exactly for what it is. and it is a better system, there is no doubt about it. And therefore the key to the success of this system, this so-called Islamic banking system, in my opinion, lies in our ability to market it well. Well, the way you are putting it is absolutely right. Putting Islamic banking and internet together is a bigger challenge, but you must not look at the market in black and white situation. For example, in North America, people are very familiar with internet, and especially when it comes to online trading in stocks, it has taken up pretty well. In fact, some of the researches shows that 8 out of 10 Muslim investors already invest in stock and bonds, and they use internet for that, because internet investing through internet on stocks and bonds offer a kind of freedom and kind of empowerment that the user would like to have. It enables somebody to place and execute a transaction very fast without depending on the broker, so that they can take advantage of the price in the market. So that being the case, the only challenge then is to make people understand what Islamic banking is all about. It's just one step. In other part of the world, yes, what you are saying is right. We are trying to introduce two concepts, one Islamic banking and the other is the use of internet. But on the other hand, you might think that in Far East and the Middle East, where there is the majority of Muslim countries, the issues around Islamic banking are far less. They are a little more familiar. So one market might be a little familiar with internet, not so familiar with Islamic banking, and the other market will be familiar with Islamic banking, not so familiar with internet. So the challenge is there, but it's not as huge as you might think. I think basically the reason why it is community banking based kind of a system right now is because the institutions that are into the Islamic banking and the individuals do not have the kind of infrastructure that would allow them to manage risk well. And in the absence of such kind of infrastructure, they depend on the community to provide the, let's say, social due diligence, so that they can manage their risks. But once you have mainstream institutions coming into it, it would no longer be a community based affair. It is going to be just like conventional banking. It will be managed professionally, the risk will be managed well, so there won't be any need for community based kind of a banking. Now, after having said that, the fact of the matter is that the internet penetration within the communities is growing at a very fast rate. I mean, it's becoming like a part of life. Yes, people don't use it mainly for transactions, they use it for information, but they are very familiar. So I think even though it is community based, the communities themselves are pretty familiar with internet, so it's going to catch on. Well, credit risks, you need to have certain systems, certain due diligences, etc., to measure anybody's credit worthiness before you extend them a loan. And the conventional banks have those systems, have those technology, and have a large database to be able to profile a person better. Islamic banking being a new system, a new sort of banking in a manner, we don't have that kind of a database, we don't have that kind of systems yet to be able to do a good credit profiling and due diligence. Well, actually, you see, one in my opinion, one of the issues is that we have started calling this banking Islamic banking. Whenever you base something on religion, at worst it becomes controversial, at best it has very limited appeal, so people get a little confused and they start seeing religion in every aspect of banking. You see, what is banking? Banking transaction is simply a contract between two people, and an Islamic banking contract would be a contract that would be in accordance with the laws laid down in Sharia. Now that is one aspect, but the credit worthiness and the systems and the accounting, etc., that's a different system. To measure the credit worthiness of a person has got nothing. I think it is religion neutral, it is banking system neutral. Whether you lend money to a person under Islamic contract or under conventional contract, the person needs to be credit worthy, and that credit worthiness needs to be established. So it's a common thing between both. I mean, it's nothing, that part has got nothing to do with it being Islamic or un-Islamic. You see, that's true. This is one of the challenges that one needs to face, and we might need to devise ways around that. And that is why I say that, you know, Islamic banking is new and there's not much database. Now, when we start doing this in a bigger manner, all these people that you're mentioning will also come in. They will form the database. They will be profiled. Then their credit behavior will be seen, and their credit history would be start to be built. You see, each time a person comes into conventional banking system, they don't come with a credit history day one. That credit history is also built from scratch. So you will have to do the same thing for these people in the new system. That's an assumption, but even if we agree that that's a correct assumption, that is one of the reasons why it's community banking, community based banking, because then you see, in absence of credit history or anything, it's the community that provides you that information. It's the people around that person who have dealt with that person, who work with that person. They can tell you whether this person is good for the money that he commits or not. So maybe from that point of view, to begin with, we will need to build in a bit of a different kind of credit rating, but I am quite sure that the conventional bank also has to assign credit rating to people who haven't had a relationship before, because, you know, all of us don't start off, we have to have a relationship sometime before we build it into anything else. Islamic banking is not old, by the way. It's not 1400 years old. You know, interest based banking is just 200 years old. Islamic banking was practiced after Islam till about 200 years ago. That makes Islamic banking 1200 years ago, whereby interest based banking is just 200 years ago. And the fact of the matter is, the reason why you would want to use Islamic banking is because it is ethical and because it is just. It's based on equity between users and providers of funds. It is, if you do not use this banking, you always have economies that are unstable. Look at the US economy now. Look at where has NASDAQ gone. Look at where the New York Stock Exchange has gone. Look at what's happening with the right sizing, downsizing, people losing their homes, their cars, and their means of income. That purely because it's based on interest-based system. If you were to replace this with Islamic banking system, a lot of this would never take place. So why not?